Celtic. What a week, what a week, what a week! Oh, pardon me, I nearly dropped it. Oh, get rid of the heavenly angels there. They'll be back soon. My name is Chris Quinlan. Melbourne Musos Facebook Live. Melbourne Musos Facebook Live. Here you go, we're on the march. We're on the march. We'll stick together. What a week, what a week. A bit of argy-bargy in the papers. Oh. Regarding our wonderful industry, if you can call it that. Oh, there we go. But anyway, I'll get to that a bit later maybe. Yeah. So what it is tonight, the week after, good old grand final week. But what I'm going to do tonight is talk about a few different things. I'm going to talk about a few little rudiments, how you use them in amongst different things. There's a couple of things, if you haven't been part of any kind of brass band or pipe band, there's a couple of things about rudiments that you might not know, and I'm here to tell you about them. I was with the brass band for about 7 years, and of course what happens is the way that you'd use a snare drum, but more to the point, how you'd work it in with the instruments. Now we're talking about, if I'm going to talk about the brass band, the brass has to at some point breathe. So what happens is we can we've heard a lot of bagpipes over the last month, haven't we? Like they need to breathe as well. So what happens is that what goes on when you're playing rudimentally? There's a couple of things that come into play. First of all, you've got 2 feet. Left, 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 right, left. That's why, first of all, your time signatures in any kind of marching music is in duple time. You've got 2/4 or 6/8. 6/8 being compound duple time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 feet. When you have things like paramadoodles, that's right, left, you know. That kind of business there. Now, what goes on with that is that when you're actually dealing with rudiments and you're actually dealing with doing them while you're marching, of course, the glorious tooth feel starts to come up, right? Now, down at boot camp, hello down there, what you probably just saw me do is go to shunt to one of my other pedals there, which is actually a trigger, not a bass drum or any kind of sound. I'll patch to it later on, or edit to it, or cut to it later on. So here is my trigger. Okay, that is actually a Celtic dulcimer. There you go. And that is E, as in, and I'm using E mixolydian, because I love that mode. There you go. I've put it up there so often, my lord. There it is, there. And then it goes to the flattened 7, and back to... There it is, you see. And there you have it, you see. Now, one of the other things that I do is when you are dealing with things like playing with brass and having to play precision business, like I just said before, you can breathe through it. But the brass players can't. So what happens is that you have slurs and you also have rudimental slurs as well, where you might roll into a note like that kind of thing. That is a 5-stroke open roll. If you wanted to close it, you would press. There you go. But if it doesn't have the little curved line, okay, this isn't always stuck to or adhered to, but in general kind of playing, you would break. Like that. Dear old Ronnie Ruth of the City of the Essendon Band used to say, just take your sticks off the skin, Chris. Like. And I've often talked about the fact that he said, just press roll all the way through. It's Remembrance Day. Just press through the hymns, mate. As if it was easy, is what my usual line is. And then, you get that? Seems I'm playing something. I'll stop there because I'm starting to do what is, I hope you're writing all this down. I'm going a bit quick tonight. What I'm doing now is a bit of counterpoint in the sense that I'm splitting rudiments a little bit there. Because if I'm going... do the same thing up here. See, you can start to get that kind of reel kind of thing, a reel and a jig, and I've talked about that a lot too, but I'm skirting around it because I have. Now, you're probably noticing the hi-hat, and that's what goes on. Now, normally... it's our timekeeper, that kind of thing there. But I do it in different ways, because when you're starting to work with melody a little bit, and then you're starting to talk about doing this. But like I said, what happens with the hi-hat? What goes on is this time, let's go back all the way back to the late 19th century, even before then, you would have two cymbals. Instead of the pedal, there was no such thing at that time. And what would happen is that you would have a player with a set of cymbals, leather strapped through, they'd hold it up and go, psh, psh, psh. If if you ever see a New Orleans second line rhythm kind of band, there's a dude with the hi. So what you've got is like if I did it with my foot, you have your normal chick. You also have what I do quite a bit is a splash hat, like that. And then you get you can mix it up. Answer this. All right, that's what it is there. See? Now, that's come into play in lots of different things. The first person I saw that do that was many a year ago as a very young Tommy Campbell at Dallas Brooks Hall, way back in 1981. Playing with Dizzy Gillespie, and I'm going, where's that extra hand coming from? And it's become quite the thing. But what happens is it adds, gives you a timing. Like if I just, like what I just did actually, I'll go back to doing that. I'll do that, and if I just did this. Now, if I didn't have that and I just went... It sounds like a preamble to something, but it just sounds like it's just amble. I'm just ambling around. But that gives it focus. So. There you go. So, moving right along, moving forward. Wizard word. Okay, there you go. Moving forward. Moo. There you have that, you see. So what goes on? I'll get back on script now. There's your hi-hat, there's your splashes, you see. So it really comes down with your foot. That's a splash hat, as distinct from an open hi-hat, which of course is... So on with all my triggers and patches, which makes everything sound weird, but that's okay. All right. Now, the reason I have my multi-sticks out is because when you are doing things such as marches and all sorts of things, you might have one of your percussionists there going like that. You've got your snare drummer, your lead drummer, and then your drummer. Don't forget your bass drummer. There you go, bang, bang, bang. But in the middle there, if you're in a pipe band, what you will have is what's known as a tenor drum. And for all intents and purposes, it's a tom-tom with the shoulder strap. So you're marching down with the tom-tom and the tenor drum. And it's usually about that size to this size. It's not floor tom size. It's like one of these. And a shortened mallet, once again with the leather strap, so you can do the fancy spinning, all this business. but they will have that. While the snares I don't think they did that. But that's the counterpoint things where you're splitting a rudiment. Now if I was doing a flam tap, flam tap, flam tap, flam tap, flam tap. So on. So what I'm doing up here, excited. Oh, I'm so excited. Hoi! There you are. So that's a little bit about marching, but from a different point of view. I've got the triggers on, I've got the samples. It's a Celtic dulcimer, so it's very Celtic in nature. And one of the things that I'm doing when I go to the harmonic part of the evening is that I'm using the tried, trusted, true, and much loved mixolydian mode. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat, 7, 8. And what happens? Who knows about the cycle of fifths? Put your hands up, you should. And what happens is it's essentially, if you're playing with the flat 7, what actually goes on is that if you are going to, say, play a G mixolydian mode. Well, the G major scale has an F sharp in it, which is the 7th step, you see. You flatten it, bring it back to F. So what happens is that what you're essentially doing is you're playing the scale before G major in the cycle of fifths, which is C. It's all the white notes I tells you. And you're playing the C major scale in a G tonality, okay? That's what happens. So if you're playing anything like this, if you go down the cycle of fifths, right? So if you're sort of going C, then the 5th is G. I can see it in front of my eyes here. Close my eyes. It's C, G, D, A, E, B. Why should a drummer know about this? A. So what goes on, and you're going down all the sharp sides. Every time you go up 5, you sharpen the 7th and you add another sharp. So C major has no sharps or flats. G has 1. Okay, D has 2. A has 3. E has 4. Okay, keep on going. B has 5. You know, B, F sharp has 6. And then you go the flat side. But what happens, what I'm getting at with this, is that if you want a mixolydian mode, you go one back. Do you see? So if you want the A mixolydian mode, what you're really doing is playing the go back one to the D major scale, right? Okay, but you start from A. You treat A like the root note. You're playing D major, but you're treating A as 1. This is what happens, and that's what. Flat 7. Hope you get something out of that, yeah. Now, I better start thinking about the next part of the show. Ooh, bit of argy-bargy this week. I wasn't going to be all... I'm not even being political. I'm trying so hard to give it up. It keeps coming back. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. But what I'm doing now, this week, you can't get away from it because it's topical. I'll be honest with you, what I usually do is I give the socials a rest while I'm teaching. Okay, Monday, Tuesday into Wednesday. And then the show's on Wednesday night, and I do the usual muso thing, plan it on Facebook, hope someone turns up, and all this stuff. And, please watch it. A lot of effort goes into all our stuff, doesn't it? I'm hoping someone turns up, hoping someone gets paid. And what happens is on Monday, if I paid musicians, I'd go out of business. Well, yes, you should. That's a kind of an economic model that went out with Abe Lincoln's Bar and Grill in 1861. So, if you are honestly building an economic model basing everything on not paying the very people that bring people to your door, you would be non-existent otherwise. You really don't deserve to be in business unless you change it real quick. One of the things is, of course, it's an editorial because it's topical. I was going to do something else, but it's in your face all the time. Come on, that kind of thing. Plus, the argument is pretty much moot when the $250 minimum fee is now written into grants coming out of 4 states and the ACT and scheduled in the Senate of New South Wales for very soon, of both sides of the political spectrum. And one of the reasons that happened was because when all the venues were getting the grants during COVID and stuff, they weren't passing anything on to the dear musicians who were getting food parcels from certain organisations. And so I always thought the argument was moot. And I really do believe that because it just keeps going and going, and it's written into state government, grants, like, if you get a house loan and you go out and, I'll just go out and buy a new car and I'll do a little bit of, and I'll spend it on slabs and, I'll go down the track, Melbourne Cup's coming up. Hey, next thing I know, where'd my house loan go? The bank won't be too happy. They still want the money. So what happens is if you get a loan or a grant or anything like that, and one of the rules is pay your people, that kind of thing, pay your people. You are breaking a moral contract if you don't. And this is old hat.
Ask the Minister, do you support the idea of a minimum fee?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
Ask the Minister, do you support the idea of a minimum fee?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
Ask the Minister, do you support the idea of a minimum fee?
Yeah, I do.
Ask the Minister, do you support the idea of a minimum fee?
Yeah, I do.
Ask the Minister, do you support the idea of a minimum fee?
Yeah, I do.
Ask the Minister, do you support the idea of a minimum fee?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
Ask the Minister, do you support the idea of a minimum fee?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
Ask the Minister, do you support the idea of a minimum fee?
I do.
Ask the Minister, do you support the idea of a minimum fee?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
That's what you do. Hey. Pay your people. It's really just, really just basic respect, isn't it? When you think about it, like if they're not worth it and you don't play it, what do you call it? They're worth less. That's what you're telling people. They're worth less. Think about the words. I take words literally, sort of thing, and that's what happens. Hello, audience. Okay, I got something for you. I'm going to finish off the show. Okay, I'm going to go off and get a bit of hope your team won last week. How's the Swans? Where did they go? They even turn up? Oh, boy, oh boy, oh boy. All right, now, what I've done, every now and again, I do a little prepared thing. Oh, it used to be Winnie the Pooh and all sorts of different things. But what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take everything that I've taught at you hi-hat, mixolydian mode. I'm going to get into this. And here we go. Hope you like it.
A boycott is an act of non-violent, voluntary abstention from a product, person, organisation or country as an expression of protest. It is usually for moral, social, political or environmental reasons. The purpose of the boycott is to inflict some economic loss on the target or to indicate a moral outrage to try to compel the target to alter an objectionable behaviour. Yeah. The word boycott entered the English language during the Irish Land War and derives from Captain Charles Boycott, the land agent of an absentee landlord, Lord Ernie, who lived in County Mayo, Ireland. Captain Boycott was the target of social ostracism organised by the Irish Land League in 1880. As harvest had been poor that year, Lord Ernie,
his name was Ernie, and he drove the fastest milk cart in the West,
offered his tenants a 10% reduction in their rents. In September of that year, protesting tenants demanded a 25% reduction, which Lord Ernie refused. Boycott then attempted to evict 11 tenants from the land. Charles Stewart Parnell, the Irish leader, proposed that when dealing with tenants who take farms where another tenant was evicted, rather than resorting to violence, everyone in the locality should shun them. While Parnell's speech did not refer to land agents or landlords, the tactic was first applied to boycott when the alarm was raised about the evictions. Despite the short-term economic hardship to those undertaking this action, Boycott soon found himself isolated. His workers stopped work in the fields and stables as well as in his house. Local businessmen stopped trading with him, and the local postman refused to deliver mail. The concerted action taken against him meant that Boycott was unable to hire anyone to harvest his crops in his charge. After the harvest, the boycott was successfully continued and soon the new word was everywhere. The New York Tribune reporter James Redpath first wrote of the boycott in the international press. The Irish author George Wall reported, like a comet the verb boycott appeared. It was used by the Times in November 1880 as a term for organised isolation. According to an account in the book The Fall of Feudalism in Ireland by Michael Davitt, the term was promoted by Father John O'Malley of County Mayo to signify ostracism applied to a landlord or agent like Boycott. The Times first reported on November 20, 1880, the people of New Palace have resolved to boycott them and refuse to supply them with food or drink. The Daily News wrote on December 13, 1880, already the stoutest hearted are yielding on every side to the dread of being boycotted. By January of the following year, the word was being used figuratively. Dame Nature arose. She boycotted London from Kew to Mile End. The end.
I love doing them. Some don't. I'm going to love and leave you now. So, my name's Quinlan, and this is a little topical So, hey, I'll have this up tomorrow with a 4-camera shoot for beloved Channel 31. It'll be Wednesday, 10 o'clock. Wednesday week. And there you have it, because we've got something else happening this week. I wasn't going to do an editorial, but it came and bit me on the bum. And there's some willful misinformation out there. When that happens, you've got to take a stand against your fellow, well, with your fellow musicians, right? For every action, there's a reaction. And with that,
Ask the minister, do you support the idea of a minimum fee?
Yeah, I do.
I
Yeah, I
do.
do.
Ask the minister, do you support the idea of a minimum fee?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
Ask the minister, do you support the idea of a minimum fee?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
Ask the minister, do you support the idea of a minimum fee?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
Ask the minister, do you support the idea of a minimum fee?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
Ask the minister, do you support the idea of a minimum fee?
Yeah, I do.
Oh!
Yeah, I do.
Ask the minister, do you support the idea of a minimum fee?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
Ask the minister, do you support the idea of a minimum fee?
Yeah, I do.
I love you!
Ask the minister, do you support the idea of a minimum fee?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
Ask the minister, do you support the idea of a minimum fee?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
Ask the minister, do you support the idea of a minimum fee?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
Ask the minister, do you support the idea of a minimum fee?
Yeah, I do.